5, and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN+, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Lucid Stream TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200+ entertainment and news networks, or watch 10,000 movies on demand, including recent theater releases. Just $42 a month when you use the promo code ESPNNW at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
I love playing sports, especially for my school. And that's because school sports are special. It's where it's safe to fail. It's where we're taught resilience, where our fear becomes confidence. It's where we learn to get back up after every fall. School sports are where 7.8 million students go from I can't to I can.
This message presented by the FHSAA and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Powered by Panama City Toyota. Your home for Auburn Tiger basketball. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida. ESPN Northwest Florida is live inside the Bendian's Best Move Studios. Get ready. The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
Live and local.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
This thing is going to be a financial and cultural disaster.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Whopper, 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 whopper.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Keep making noise! Keep making noise! Yeah!
What's going on, Panama City? We are live and local. Panama City, Callaway, Lynn Haven, St. Andrews, Port St. Joe, Weewaw. The list goes on and on. ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife, along with us this afternoon. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. Happy birthday to my brother Will. There are good ships and wood ships, ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships, and may they always be. That is a St. Patrick's Day quote for you. You don't like that? I saw someone post it on Facebook today, and I said, you know what? I'm going to lead with that.
It's entirely too positive for me.
Yeah, I know, man. Like last week, we got a little addition of positive Coach Haddad.
It's over.
This week, we're back to normal, back on track, baby.
But ships sink.
Yeah, well, friendships, and yeah, I guess those friendships sink as well. All right, guys, just
bringing you down, man.
Just
bringing you down.
Two pessimists and an optimist are at a bar without alcohol. We've got a little sweet tea, some Mountain Dew, and whatever James is drinking over there. What you got? Water,
Got
Gatorade?
me the Powerade, man.
Gatorade. You got the homemade Gatorade, right?
I do. Yeah, just powdered form. It's basically just the powdered form, and you just take it, mix it in water. Just easier, cheaper to keep around for me.
Any baking soda in there?
Nah.
Yeah, this show would be better if I had a little Irish tea here on this St. Patrick's Day.
Hey, there you go, man. McGuire's is freshly opened this afternoon.
Yeah, good timing. Good.
So, yeah, perfect. I was thinking about that, too, when they said they were going to be opening up on Monday. I'm like, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. I'm sure there was a lot of bars and whatnot that were selling corned beef and cabbage and all of that good stuff.
That is what I'm having this evening.
Corned beef and cabbage?
Yes, sir. I got it homemade. Yep, from one of our Angus. And I've
even better than homemade.
For like
it's
2 weeks now.
It's not just
Homegrown,
homemade;
man.
it's homegrown. Man, I want a plate of that. I might kick Caveman Rick off tomorrow and have you come in instead. So
well,
you
work it out, man.
All right, hold on. I'm not even joking. Would you be available for tomorrow?
Possibly, yeah.
All right, well, let me see what I can do
find,
to get
man.
a little corned beef and cabbage. We'll have to see, though. Guys, thank you so much for listening this afternoon. Get on over there to ESPNPC.com right now and click on the Big Bracket Challenge. The brackets are ready to go. You just got to fill them out. I was doing mine yesterday as we were working our way through Selection Sunday. As soon as the brackets opened up, I started doing a first reaction, a gut reaction bracket, my main bracket, and I'll, work. I made my initial selections, and then what I'm going to do is kind of go back, start, reading more, listening more. Feels like that's all I've been reading about this afternoon is the bracket, and then the first 4 games will happen, so then I'll have solidified answers for a side of the bracket on Tuesday, and you can listen to those games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, and we'll have the final edition of the bracket heading into Thursday after Wednesday evening's games, and then right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, the tournament will start at 11 a.m. I think the first game's around 11:15 or 11:20, but we'll have all of the action right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. I had the same Final Four that pretty much everyone was showing. It's very chalky, a lot of 1s and a lot of 2s in the Final Four, but I got to figure out a way to get that double-digit seed in there. But y'all get on over to ESPNPC.com, click on the Big Bracket Challenge, invite your friends, invite your coworkers. We're sitting at 66 right now. I've been trying to get at least 5 or 6 people to join while we're on the air, but since the brackets are out there and ready to go, let's go up to 10. Let's get to 76 by 6 o'clock this afternoon. You can also call or text us at 850-215-6290. As always, on Mondays, we do our best and worst of the weekend. We'll probably get into that at 5:40 this afternoon, so feel free to text those in or comment on Facebook with us. RJ Starcevic is going to join us in the very next segment at 4:20. We'll be catching up on what happened in Las Vegas and which driver got their first win in the Cup Series. Steve Barnes is going to join us at 5 o'clock to kick off hour number 2. He'll lead off with his best and worst of the weekend, probably make fun of my trivia question, and then we'll figure out which direction we're going. There's all kind of things going on with Ole Miss. They had a tough series in baseball with Arkansas. They're in the tournament, but then again, what SEC teams aren't in the tournament? There's only 2 of them. We'll talk a little bit more about that in depth throughout the show this afternoon.
Well, and that changes this year. They'll actually all get to go this year, just because now you've added Texas and Oklahoma. So in the past, they would leave 2 teams out and play with 12. Now that they've gone to 16, everybody goes in, and it's going to be this baseball. Oh, I'm having a day here, guys.
I was just about to say,
I'm looking at baseball.
April Fool's right now or something?
Here's the problem. I'm looking at baseball while you were talking basketball. I just cut my mic off.
All right. I'm like, all right. I guess we're, we're just fast forwarding to April 1st here. I'm like,
I had a Coach Hale moment.
There you go. And then PCB Hobby Takeover this afternoon at 5:20. Coach Brian Haddad, Todd Mueller, and Julia will be talking all things PCB Hobby. Got some good questions, buy, sell, or trade for Coach Haddad and for Todd this afternoon. We'll wrap it up with our what's been going on locally and what games are going on tonight and best and worst of the weekend. We will start off with a little bit of local, though, here. That is going to be Gulf Coast State College men's basketball. The women's season is already over. They didn't make it to the big dance in Gulf Coast in the championship game for the Region 8 tournament, falling to Pensacola State 54-51, and they missed the at-large bid as well. Which, have you guys ever heard of a situation, what just happened to South Alabama? I think this is something that we can bring up with.
Well, that's my number 1 worst of the weekend.
Oh, okay. All right. So, we won't get too deep into the details, but essentially, USA, South Alabama last night around 10:45 or 11 was invited by the NIT because of, what was it, UC Riverside?
Yep.
UC Riverside decided that they were already a part of the CBI, the College Basketball Invitational, which is not sanctioned?
It's not affiliated with the NCAA tournament,
right?
Setup.
So then, USA gets the invite, and right after that, after the coach is telling the players, they, I guess, call back and say, you're not, UC Riverside reversed course, and they're going to not go with the CBI, but go with the NIT instead.
Yeah, so what apparently happened is, UC Riverside was trying to get out of that other turn of the CBI, and they had not in time, and so someone called South Alabama and invited them, and then Riverside got out, and they told them, and then they rescinded the invite, which is, absurd in and of itself. I mean, it's what it is, I guess. I hate it. South Alabama had a good year. I mean, they were co-champs of the Sun Belt. I think in the regular season, they're like 21-11. They've got a historically good basketball program, been to the NCAA tournament many times and all like that. And, Richie Riley's done a really good job over there. Obviously, I'm biased because I grew up going to South Alabama games at the now torn down Mobile Civic Center. It's not there anymore. They've had an on-campus stadium, about 10,000 for about 20 years now, but no, it was really pretty shameful in the way it was all handled. It's kind of unfortunately indicative of the way the NIT has fallen off, I guess. But yeah, it was a bad look all the way around. So shame on the NIT for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. 850-215-6290. That will be a part of our best and worst this afternoon at 5:40 or whenever we decide to jump into it. Who in the world knows? 14 SEC teams setting a record. I didn't think that they were going to end up breaking the record. There's teams like Texas that were really on that bubble. I mean, 6-12 in the SEC. Oklahoma did themselves a lot of favors in the SEC tournament, but did that push towards to the quarterfinal, almost to the quarterfinal, really deserve them getting into the March Madness tournament? I don't know, but here we are, 14 teams. Let's start here, Coach Haddad. Did Auburn really deserve a number 1 overall seed over Duke, who they lost to, and Duke kind of ran through without their best player? Again, the ACC, not as strong as the SEC according to the metrics this year, but do you think that the way that Auburn faded in the latter half of the season, really the last 2 weeks of the season, that they still deserve the number 1 overall seed?
No, but I also don't think it really matters. I think once you're getting a 1 seed, I doubt that it really matters because, you could look at that and say, well, it matters in that the rest of their bracket. But, I mean, the brackets are just kind of set up the way that they are. It's not indicative of Auburn has the easiest path and, whoever else would be national seed 4 has the hardest path because I'm not sure it played out that way. But, no, I mean, if you were asking me, who would be the number 1 national seed right now if that mattered, I would say it would need to be Duke, based on Auburn losing 3 of their last 4. And no, and Bruce Pearl's right, they weren't bad teams, but you're losing 3 of the last 4. Duke owns the head-to-head, and Duke just went through the ACC tournament not just without Cooper Flagg, but I'm blanking on the other guy's name who might be more impactful. The fact that he's missing went down in the championship game and is now going to be gone for the remainder of the tournament, whereas Cooper Flagg potentially can come back maybe in the second round. So, no, I would have had Duke at the number 1 overall seed, but again, I don't know that it matters all that much.
Is it Malik Brown?
I think that's right.
That's how I feel about the whole situation, especially having that head-to-head. I know that it's earlier on in the season, but those should matter, especially when you're a committee compiling, why the why and the what and the where, if you will, for where these teams should be going. Not that a number 1 seed overall matters. I mean, when you look at it, Duke's got BYU. They've got Alabama. Mississippi State is a team that could upset them in the second round. Who knows how Cooper Flagg's going to be playing. Wisconsin is a team playing really good basketball. I mean, throughout the tournament, you look at all 4 of the quadrants, and there's none that's like, I wish that my team would have gotten that path.
Yeah, and look, I mean, you said it with Mississippi State. It was something I was going to bring up, actually. It's, you never like to be an 8 because that means you're going to be drawing the 1. And I think Duke probably had the best season of all the ones, but they'd be the one I'd want to draw right now because there's so many kind of unknowns out there with Flagg, with the other injuries that Duke has, and they're a little bit worn out. I mean, now ACC finishing their tournament on Saturday is a good move on their part.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, if I'm Mississippi State and I'm going to be an 8 seed, I'm not so sure they didn't draw the best slot that they could have. Now, they got to get past Baylor first, but the chance to catch a a somewhat beat up Duke team that maybe doesn't know exactly how they're going to do things. You know, in a way, it's almost weird. There's uncertainty on Flag. They might be better off knowing he can't play, and so they get set up for it. So if I'm Mississippi State, I enjoy the opportunity to potentially face a number one team that's reeling a little bit. But, it's tough. I was looking at these brackets, and I mean, you can kind of make an argument for each one. I have, one that I think is the hardest, but that's just based on what bit I've seen this year. Everybody's going to have their own, but there's no easy path to the Final Four, not at this level.
No, there's absolutely not. Which quadrant of the four quadrants or of the four brackets, the South, the West, the East, or the Midwest, which one would you say is the toughest for that particular number one seed?
I would say the West, and I'm going to tell you why, because you've got a lot of hot teams in there, but you also have teams who are laden with talent and laden with experience that maybe are a little further down the list, and those are the teams that come tournament time can turn it on. So here's what I mean. You have Florida, who's probably the hottest team in the country right now.
They are.
They're the 1 seed, but look who's the 8 seed. UConn, but 2-time defending champions. Oklahoma played some pretty good ball down the stretch. Memphis is a sleeper. Look out for Memphis. Good
Penny's
ball
got them
team
boys
there.
Playing.
Maryland just went to the ACC tournament or
Big
the
Ten title
Big
game.
Ten title game.
No, semifinal.
Yeah,
Big
that's
Ten
right. I still think of them as ACC, but that was Louisville. Grand Canyon. A lot of people like them in the upset mode. Then you got Missouri, who's a team who played really well this year. Texas Tech. The 7-10 matchup's crazy good. Kansas was a preseason number 1.
Right.
Then you have Arkansas under Coach Cal, who certainly knows this, and St. John's is a great team at 2. So to me, the West looks the strongest top to bottom, but that's just my opinion.
I really like that, and there's 2 first-round games that really stand out to me, really, when I'm looking at, and it's all right around that 8, 9, 7, 10 area. Yeah. In the South with Louisville and Creighton, that game is flip a coin up. I mean, Louisville, we can talk about this in a second, but sitting there at an 8 seed representing the ACC in the title game, did they get hosed a little bit? I like to think so. But Louisville, Creighton, an amazing game. There's not a better game with better storylines, I don't think, especially when you're talking about from the head coach position, than Kansas and Arkansas with Bill Self and with Coach Cal there. Then you look at Mississippi State and Baylor. We already talked about that. St. Mary Vanderbilt could be a heck of a game with the way that Vanderbilt kind of inconsistent, but still, I mean, playing in the SEC to have a record of 20-12, that is pretty dang good looking at this point in time. Gonzaga and Georgia. Gonzaga started to heat up. Georgia's played decent ball throughout the year. Again, I mean, they're getting a lot of love because of that SEC conference. And one thing that we've seen in the past, though, is just because your conference has looked great and there's been a bloodbath throughout the season, if you're that team coming from the conference, or if you're those teams coming from that conference who got the most amount of bids in, it does not bode well for you throughout the conferences or throughout the tournament as well. I mean, that's what a lot of people are saying, fade SEC teams.
So where would you say is the weakest? It looks Midwest to me, but again, I wouldn't say it's easy. I just think it looks just a little bit less than the others.
I would have to agree with you when, I mean, you're talking about Texas and Xavier being there. Tennessee could be the team to.
They're a good ball team.
It looks like it could very easily be a chalky situation in the Midwest with 1 and 2, Houston and Tennessee. There's potential for upsets there, but when I see it in the East and you're looking at Duke, do they have any team that could challenge them before the Elite Eight? Possibly Arizona. When I look at the bottom half of that bracket, BYU, VCU could be a dark horse for some. Wisconsin, Alabama.
Playing good at the end of the year, Wisconsin.
Yeah, they were in the Big Ten title game. Michigan also at a 5 seed. That's another thing that you kind of have to look out for. They're in the South bracket.
Auburn's, the top half of the South is as good as any half.
Yeah.
There is the bottom half of the South is not as impressive to me. That's why I went with the West overall.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's something else. But, look, it's March Madness. Who the heck knows?
Who should have a bigger gripe, though? Michigan, Big Ten champion. They go in as a 5 seed. In fact, there's other Big Ten conference teams that are higher than what Michigan is as a seed, or Louisville, who is the ACC runner-up. Not a lot of great talk about the ACC as a conference this year, but they're the runner-up as a 8 seed.
They probably both have a gripe. I mean, the one that stands out to me is Michigan. I would have thought going through and winning the Big Ten would have at least put them at a 4. I thought Kentucky might be the most overranked team at a 3. I'm not saying Michigan should have necessarily had that 3, but I would have thought them maybe more in line with a 4. It doesn't really matter because you're still in that, 4 or 5 in with the 1 top half of the bracket. So I don't know if it was enough to get them a 3. That being said, if you're Louisville, you certainly don't want to draw the 1 right out of the gate. A 7 would have made maybe a little more sense, but that's the way it played out. I mean, Michigan didn't have as good a overall body of work, but they were very good down the stretch, I guess. So I don't know. I saw them probably more as a 4 than a 5. So I'll just say Michigan has a little more of a gripe.
What do you see Louisville as?
I would say probably more like a 6 or a 7.
That's why I got them at a 6.
Yeah, well, just because the ACC wasn't all that good this year, and so it wasn't as impressive. I thought the Big Ten was a little bit better, top to bottom, which I never thought I'd say, with ACC basketball, but I just think it was. So I wasn't as impressed with Louisville. But maybe I should have been. Look, I didn't study this inside out. I didn't watch this like Vitale, but to me, I would just say probably a 7 for me with Louisville, maybe a 6, but I didn't see as many teams in the 6, 7 I thought were overranked. Like I said, to me, the one that stood out, I thought Kentucky as a 3 was a little high.
Yeah.
And nothing against Kentucky, but I just didn't see them that high. I saw them more as a 4, maybe even a 5, honestly. You got to remember, they were a 6 in the SEC tournament,
Right.
So,
yeah.
I just don't know. And they didn't look that good against Alabama, certainly, and eked one out before that against, who'd they beat at the... No, it wasn't
Missouri. It was Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, that's right. So
yeah, that was a heck of an SEC tournament. Florida dominated Alabama. And Tennessee, Auburn was a really good game. But yeah,
quick on the morning show last week, Dr. Ward actually made a great point. He said if we get chalk, which we did, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, and Florida in the semifinals of the SEC tournament, that Final Four is likely going to be better than what we get at the NCAA tournament Final Four. And he may be right, because you're talking about 4 of the top 6 teams in the country, basically, who were there. And it was impressive for sure. And then Florida and Tennessee going on to the championship game. And yeah, you could make the case that might have been a better 4 than what we end up with in the Final Four here.
Well, you could also... you
could have that same
potential.
4.
You could have that same 4, being that none of those guys are in the same bracket. Auburn in the South has a 1. Florida in the West has a 1, as we already mentioned that. Then you got Bama and Tennessee, 2. Yeah. Bama in the East and Tennessee in the Midwest. We've got a lot to talk about. We could honestly not have any guest on and talk about the bracket for the full 2
Well, I'll try and get the sport right from here on out.
We'll talk a little bit more college baseball, maybe with Steve Barnes, and then, definitely after March Madness. Y'all get over to ESPNPC.com and click on the Big Bracket Challenge. It is time to fill out those brackets. Thank you to Panama City Toyota, PCB Hobby, and Buffalo Rock Pepsi. We're live from the Bendian's Best Move Studios. Give Quentin a call at 850-583-0814. We're going to take a break from March Madness and dive into some left turns with RJ Starcevic, where we'll go around the track with RJ. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, listening to ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the most college basketball.
Three-pointer, college basketball is back.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
The SEC, ACC, and beyond.
Oh, you saw that coming, Rampant.
The biggest games play right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. The remainder of the day, there will be a moderate breeze out of the north-northwest, sunshine and 68. Clear skies tonight, a bit colder at 51 and a wind around 6 miles per hour coming out of the north. Tomorrow, sunny and a light breeze right around 5 miles per hour with a high of 70. About the same at 73 Wednesday, and we'll have sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 35 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
Live and local from the Bindian's Best Move Studios. Who was hired? Who was fired? Trades, drafts, and playoffs. We're talking about it.
That trade, when it was made, was the right trade.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Live and local from the Bindian's Best Move Studios. David Hayes, Coach Brian Haddad, James Fife. Get over there to ESPNPC.com and click on the Big Bracket Challenge. Invite your friends and your coworkers. Join the madness. It's free to sign up, and for the top 3 brackets in the group, you will win some cash and prizes. Thank you to Panama City Toyota, PCB Hobby, and Buffalo Rock Pepsi. Now on the line with us, it's RJ Starcevic. He is the creator of the Motor Stardom page over there on Instagram. Make sure to go give that page a follow and just continue to keep up with the great content that RJ provides. RJ, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Just wrapped up watching WWE's Monday Night Raw from Brussels, Belgium. A little special start time today since they're on their European tour, so that was a good way to spend the Monday afternoon, and now we'll see what I end up doing with my night, but doing good.
Hey, there you go, man. How have you felt about the heel turn for John Cena? And I saw today a little clip that he's not changing any of his attire. He's not changing his theme song. The whole problem wasn't with him. It was with the fans.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, and those European crowds, they get loud, and so he was just getting screamed at, chanted at, and he came out there and yelled right back, and yeah, John Cena is a bad guy. People that don't even know, WWE and don't know the ins and outs, it's like they always see John Cena as the good guy, and now he's the bad guy. It's crazy for everybody, but it's some crazy stuff. It's WrestleMania season, boys. Stuff's ramping up.
Yes, it is. You are speaking Coach Haddad's language right now. Pretty cool that they've got the early start times. What's that for, like the next 3 weeks as well?
Yeah. They start 4 o'clock Eastern next Monday, and I think it's going on for the next 3 or 4 weeks, right all the way up until we get to, I believe, the week before WrestleMania. So it's fun stuff, man. Those European crowds, like I said, they get riled up.
Hey, there you go, man. Looking forward to see what the storylines bring as we inch closer to WrestleMania. But give us your best and worst from Las Vegas, RJ.
Man, I'll start with the worst so we can end on the best. And the worst, I'd have to say, would be just another a rough go for Ty Gibbs. I feel for the guy. They've had a rough stretch of races. He finished 22nd, which is somehow an improvement, right, in his last stretch of races, but still not at all where they'd want to be. And then my best, it's got to go Josh Berry, man. What a feel-good story. I know we'll talk about the race here in a second, but, I mean, I'm so happy for Josh Berry, that team, and being able to pull that off. That was the best thing I saw this weekend.
Yeah, I figured you were going to go in that direction. So before we get to the recap from the Cup Series race, what's bigger in your opinion, the first career win for Josh Berry or the 101st win for the Wood Brothers team and the first time that they've had back-to-back or winners in back-to-back seasons since the 80s?
Yeah, I got to say this is bigger. It's big for both, but I got to say this is bigger for Josh Berry. I mean, first career Cup Series win. There's so many stories that go with this. I mean, the story of him coming up as a driver, right, just meeting Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 2008 on the iRacing service, that turning into a ride with JRM. He kind of is doing late models and short track racing throughout his career. Finally gets his break in the Xfinity Series. Showed out last year, the number 4 for SHR for a shutting down organization, which is hard to do. And I knew this was I knew that 21 car still had speed. It's still produced by Penske. And it was just a matter of time before it got put together. So Josh Berry, I think for him in his career, his story, it's so cool to see him in victory lane. And this is the first time, and it most certainly won't be the last time.
Well, give us a recap from that Cup Series race at Las Vegas with the first-time winner, Josh Berry.
Yeah, I mean, it was a guy that he finished 8th in both stages, and so it was looking like another consistent race for Josh Berry, but it wasn't really looking like a race win. We had Austin Cindric up front, you had Kyle Larson, you had William Byron. You were wondering when Christopher Bell was going to put himself in the picture. The name of the game, though, was tire issues, and that's where these random cautions kept coming out. We had tires falling off the wheels of race cars, most notably Chase Briscoe and Kyle Busch as well. We had all these things happening during the race, cut tires. We know the track is a little bit more abrasive than others, but it just seemed to be a big issue throughout the day, so that led to all these cautions falling in random spots. And we get the latest caution that we got was able to put Josh Berry up at the front. He battled with Daniel Suarez for it in the closing laps, and Suarez wanted that win just as much as Josh Berry. We know how important these wins are, but it was Josh Berry who was then able to get by Suarez, hold him off, and win that race. But a valiant effort for Daniel Suarez, and as well as Ryan Preece finishing that 3rd spot.
There you go. Well, great stuff there from Josh Berry and the Wood Brothers team. What are your thoughts on his non-burnout celebration after his win?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do that to preserve their race car. Usually, you see that a lot at the start of the year because of the fact that you have to save your race car for the end of the year. But he also said post-race that he was inspired by Dale Jr.'s celebration and the 2014 Daytona 500, kind of dating back to his roots and finding a way to pay homage to the guy that gave him the chance in his career, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who always, no matter even at a different team, different manufacturer now, Dale Jr. is always going to be cheering him on. But a lot of factors go into it. But one of them also is they're going to be able to take that hot rod to Las Vegas, hopefully in the fall, where hopefully they're competing for a championship.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with RJ Starcevic. Get over to Instagram now. Type in Motor Stardom, all one word, and give his page a follow. Christopher Bell was hitting the pit stop, and then they went to the 19s team, Chase Briscoe, his pit crew, and got a couple of tires changed there, and then stopped again at his own pit stall there. What do you make of Christopher Bell pitting twice in the same stop?
Yeah, what a smart play. I mean, it's something that, you want to look back and be like, has that happened before? And it probably maybe has, but just didn't get, super TV coverage maybe as it does nowadays. But, I mean, what a play there, too. We saw all the tire issues, right, and I rifled off Chase Briscoe and Kyle Busch. We almost had another one right there with Christopher Bell, but they're able to sense it and just in that split second of timing be able to just pull right down in your teammate's box. To be able to find it, of course, number one, but to be able to make that call is just incredible. I mean, yes, he didn't end up winning the race, obviously, but you're preventing a 2-race suspension for your crew members. We know all the implications of a penalty like that when the tire falls off the race car or anything happens as well, just damage to the race car as well. So, what a heads-up play there because, that goes could finish in the 30s now to finishing only in the 12th position and still having a solid day.
Do you think that's something that NASCAR could look at and possibly end up outlawing or making it illegal?
Yeah, I could certainly see them, looking at it for sure. But, I look at it, it's a thing that I think has two sides. And it's like, okay, yeah, you want to use your, team to your full extent, be able to come into a teammate's box and have them make repairs. But we've also seen some teams, in safety causes, like I think in past years, you may have somebody get in a wreck and they crash onto somebody's pit stall, and then those crew members help the guy out just as common courtesy. And so I'm not sure if they would outlaw it, because we know some people on the grid have teammates and some don't, but this could be just a beneficiary of having more cars on the grid. So I really wouldn't be up for outlawing it, especially because it doesn't happen really often at all.
RJ, just the fact that it did happen in this race, do you think it's something, let's assume it doesn't get outlawed, anything like that, do you think it's something the teams might start looking at now, and maybe kind of their, the guy that they think is going to place better, they might change their pit strategy in terms of where they pick their pit box based on that, to where now you want teammates further down the line versus it always seemed like for years, like the pole guy would always take the last pit box or whatever. Do you think this could change some of the pit strategy as far as selecting your pit box?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could, because you look at a guy, when you win the pole, you basically, most of them usually always pick that first pit box,
right,
and then the one after that is the last pit box.
Right.
Whatever has the quickest entry and exit. But, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, because you could strategize your team, especially in four-car organizations like those, across the grid to be able to help yourself. And I definitely think that's something that could come into play a lot more when we get into the playoffs, right? If we get into the Elite Eight, as we approach March Madness here, where you have 8 guys left, say, one Hendrick Motorsports car is in that final 8. Those 3 other cars, we have outlawed a lot of ways to help yourselves during these races and race manipulation. I don't think that's a race manipulation kind of thing. It's more of just helping yourselves out as teammates, because there's got to be an element that you can do during a race to act as teammates. So I think that is certainly interesting, and I feel like that conversation will come up possibly towards the end of the year once we get into the playoffs.
RJ, I was actually able to watch a little bit this weekend. I really enjoyed getting a chance, but I was having to go back and forth because it was during work. And there was one point I got to see the wreck with Blaney and I think Dylan and Bubba Wallace and who else? Gregson. There were a bunch of them in there. But right after that, it seemed like somewhere around 20 to go or something like that. I looked, and Logano was up in the lead, my buddy, Joey. And then I kind of came back in later, and he wasn't even in the top 15. Was that a tire thing where he took 4 tires on, like you had talked about with those pit strategies, or what happened in that? And then where did my good buddy Joey finish here?
Yeah, your good buddy Joey finished overall in the 15th position. But yeah, it was a unfortunate pit stop that ended it pretty much. They failed to execute on pit road. He came in first. Yeah, came in as the race leader. Like I said, with that 20 to go restart, and unfortunately peeled off behind pretty much the entire field. And it takes a lot to get back through the field, especially these days with how competitive it is. So it was unfortunate. I mean, they had a really good car. He's always been strong in the spring there at Las Vegas, but pit road was the name of the game this weekend at Vegas, and that's certainly what halted Joey Logano. And they just have not had the finishes to start off this year.
So what you're saying is that my payment to Joey's pit crew went through.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, very good.
RJ, who was the driver with low expectations going into the weekend and ended up with an impressive finish?
I got to give it to Ryan Preece. I mentioned him earlier, man, but a third-place run for a guy where I think coming into this season, I said Josh Berry and Wood Brothers is the best pairing, in my opinion, in victory lane. But Ryan Preece is that kind of last chance situation. I feel like it's okay. He's had different rides at different places. This is his best opportunity. RFK is really good equipment, but it's also his last chance. If he doesn't strike gold here, it's probably not going to work out for him in the Cup Series. So to get a third-place run, they've started off really well as well, had great qualifying speed, and now to have a race like this where it wasn't just a fluke, man. They ran up front all day, and then to come up there and finish the race out in third place, congratulations to them. Super happy for them, and excited to see what they put together the rest of the year.
And on the other hand, that was a career-high finish for Ryan Preece as well over there at third. On the other hand, driver with high expectations who ended up with a disappointing finish.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give that one to Tyler Reddick, unfortunately, in the 24th position. Finished right in front of another guy who was running decent during the day, Denny Hamlin, your guy out there, unfortunately finished P25, but Tyler Reddick was a guy that I had in my 3. He was running very well, had speed, but unfortunately had the Xfinity fastest lap of the race, but unfortunately was not enough to pan out in the end. He finished 24th.
Well, speaking of Xfinity there, give us a recap of the Xfinity Series race.
Yeah, the Xfinity race was absolutely dominated by the veteran Justin Allgaier, who has shown that he is ready to defend his championship. He won Stage 1, he won Stage 2, and he won the final stages of the race, which is sometimes all you need to do to make a statement there. Eric Almirola was kind of giving him some trouble there at the end of the race, but wasn't able to get by him. But really good props for Justin Allgaier, a race that, you know, we talk about some of the events that happened during the race. Nothing really happened. There was only a caution on lap 1 for a crash, and we went green the rest of the way. So the most traditional NASCAR mile-and-a-half race you could see, besides the stage cautions, obviously. But shout out Justin Allgaier. He finally gets a win in the bank after losing last week at Phoenix and absolutely whooped the field at Las Vegas, and he could possibly do it again at Homestead this weekend.
You guys are listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line right now with RJ Starcevic, and he is the creator of the Motor Stardom page. Go find that on Instagram. We're going to get into our top 3 for the Xfinity and for the Cup Series. But last week in Las Vegas, Xfinity Series, you had Sheldon Creed, you had Justin Allgaier and Eric Almirola. Allgaier finished first. Almirola finished second, and Sheldon Creed finished 10th. So all 3 of your picks there were top 10s. And in the Cup Series, you had Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell. Larson finishing 9th, Bell in 12th, and Tyler Reddick in 24th, as you mentioned. So let's dive into it for Homestead, Miami. Give us your top 3 for the Xfinity and the Cup Series.
Gotcha. Well, this is a little layup right here. And also, I'm done picking Sheldon Creed in my 3. He's got to win first before I put him in there. He's been disappointing me lately. So we're going to lay it up here. Kyle Larson is going to be down there in South Florida racing the Xfinity Series this weekend. So that's an easy guy to put in my 3 there. Austin Hill won there last time we were there, and he's been very strong as of late. I think that 21 car will be very good. And then let's put Connor Zilich in there. He had a great performance at Vegas, just hasn't been able to execute on pit road. So once he solves those little issues there, I think they're going to be super competitive. And then over there in the Cup Series, I got to go with Kyle Larson again. We're going to put him twice into my 3. Obviously, he is super strong at Homestead. I think he'll be great there. Let's go with Ross Chastain. He's been really strong lately. I think Homestead could be a place for him to really catch fire, especially as Trackhouse gets better. I'll put him up there in my 3. And then, even though he didn't get that 4 in a row, I'm still going to put him in there. Christopher Bell, he's really strong at Homestead. I think he's going to be a guy to watch.
So far this year, all 3 winners have their last name starts with the initial B. Who's the next driver with the last name that starts with a B to get a win?
Kyle Busch.
Gotta be, right?
He's got. It might be one of the only selections as I look down the list here, but we have Busch, Busher, and Briscoe, and Blaney. So that is a good selection of names, but Kyle Busch has been very fast to start this year. He was good at Las Vegas until the tire fell off the damn car, so unfortunately he can control that. And Homestead's been a good track for him, so Kyle, but I think the win's coming. He's knocking on the door.
All right, and your power rankings last week, Christopher Bell at 1, William Byron at 2, Kyle Larson at 3, Tyler Reddick at 4, and Denny Hamlin at 5. What do the RJ's high-powered rankings look like for this week?
Well, I'd say I'm going to have to keep Christopher Bell on top. Got to be nice to him. 3 wins in a row is hard to come by, so we're going to keep him at number 1, and still proving he is somewhat the class of the field as well. William Byron, I'm going to put him at that number 2 position. Kyle Larson was also very fast. We're going to put him there at that number 3. And then although he fell down just a little bit, I think he is still going to be fast at Homestead. He was fast at Vegas, just didn't get the finish. Tyler Reddick out there at 4. And then I think we got to throw this guy in there. He's been fast the last 2 weeks. He just won the race. Josh Berry has got some of the most momentum out of everybody in the NASCAR Cup Series. Homestead's a track where I think he can be good at as well. Josh Berry's going to slip in there at number 5, unfortunately bumping out Denny Hamlin, I know, that I had in there recently.
All right, man. Well, hate to hear that for Denny Hamlin, but we still got a long season of NASCAR going. Who's your favorite to win it all in March Madness?
Man, March Madness, that's a good question. I know we got a lot of good teams. I haven't been following around very much. I feel like the easy layups are some of the, Gonzaga. Gonzaga is pretty good. Who else? I was looking at the bracket yesterday. I don't know. Who's your favorites before I look at it real quick?
I think Florida's my overwhelming favorite. It'll be interesting to see. Can Auburn put it back together?
I always roll with Auburn.
You always roll with Auburn?
Auburn's a safe pick. Usually, whenever I'm doing my brackets, I always put them in there. Auburn, Duke, we know is going to be there. I like to see the upsets, though. I never do the brackets because I want to pick, I want to pick the 15 seeds, but I can't put money on it. So,
hey, well, do us a favor this year, man. Go to ESPNPC.com where the latest and greatest RJ Starcevic articles are, and click on the Big Bracket Challenge. It's absolutely free to play, and let's get you in the bracket challenge with us this year, man.
Sounds good. I think I'm going to have to do it.
All right, RJ, you take care, my friend, and we'll chat with you next Monday after Homestead.
Yes, sir. Sure will. I'll be down in South Florida this week at Homestead, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll have a lot to report back to you guys this weekend.
Awesome, my man. Take it easy. That's RJ Starcevic. Y'all get over to Instagram right now. Type in Motor Stardom into your search bar and give his page a follow. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. When we get back, a little trivia and another look at the bracket.
The ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge.
Three-pointer, puts it in.
We're taking March Madness to the next level. Join our bracket challenge at ESPNPC.com to compete with the ESPN Northwest Florida listeners and staff. The top 3 brackets win cash and prizes. Join the madness at ESPNPC.com. The ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge is sponsored by PCB Hobby, Pepsi, and Panama City Toyota.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. The remainder of the day, there will be a moderate breeze out of the north-northwest, sunshine and 68. Clear skies tonight, a bit colder at 51 and a wind around 6 miles per hour coming out of the north. Tomorrow, sunny and a light breeze right around 5 miles per hour with a high of 70. About the same at 73 Wednesday, and we'll have sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Lucid Stream TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200-plus entertainment and news networks, or watch 10,000 movies on demand, including recent theater releases. Just $42 a month when you use the promo code ESPNNW at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
Live and local from the Bendian's Best Move Studios. God, guns, and wrestling. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That's James Fife DJing back there, keeping us on our toes. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We're taking your calls or text at 850-215-6290. We've got some headlines to dive into, but Mookie Betts is going to be out for the Tokyo Series due to an illness. But tomorrow morning,
how will the Dodgers survive?
They have a great roster.
A real thin roster.
They'll be okay. But tomorrow morning at 5:10 a.m., the season will get underway. So if you're already underway in fantasy baseball, it is time time to set your lineups, and it'll be over there in Tokyo. It'll be Cubs versus Dodgers regular season getting underway. Then they'll get back for some spring training games, as much sense as that makes, and then we'll get officially underway next Thursday, the 27th, and we will have the Braves on our air that day. The first pitch will be at 3:10, so we'll be a little sluggish, a little late to the Sweet 16 start next Thursday. But, hey, let's go Braves. Let's see if we can get it done. Spencer Strider was on the mound today. He had 5 strikeouts, so looking pretty good in his first appearance back. In other sporting news, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they got both of them done at the same time. 4 years, $161 million for Jamar Chase, and 4 years, $115 million for T. Higgins. They are now the highest paid wide receiver duo in the league. My question to you, Coach Haddad, and to you, James, is this going to come back and bite the Bengals in the rump because they're not focusing on what the actual issue was for them last year, right? Which is their defense. I believe they did get Trey Hendrickson has 1 year left on his deal, so they haven't gotten anything done with him. Sam Hubbard has retired. Will this come back to haunt the Cincinnati Bengals, Coach Haddad?
Potentially. You got to wonder at some point they have to be a little bit better at the beginning of the season than they have been the last couple. But clearly it was a priority to them to keep that offense in check. They felt like they were really clicking at the end of the year. Burrow likes what they're doing. I'm sure they made some overtures to guys like Metcalf and all in the offseason, but it's clearly a priority to them to keep that offense in check, and they'll figure the defense out. So, it remains to be seen. It would worry me slightly, but, the number one position on the field is quarterback, and you want to keep that happy. So I guess that's what they decided to do.
James.
I mean, we're in a time of, timeline right now that passing and offense is key. You got to be able to throw the ball. That is just how we play football right now. Now, let's just look at what the Bengals have done with this. They've made a Super Bowl with this combination. They really did.
Yeah, they really did. They really did.
They didn't win that Super Bowl, but they did make it that far. Now, we look at the recency of it, though, the last, 2 seasons. Where have they been? Not looking too great. Let's go that way with it. So is this going to be helpful to them? I mean, it gives you some stability if you're looking for stability, if you're looking for Burrow to be happy, if you're looking for him to hang around and be there longer. Okay, you've done that. But how long is Burrow going to be happy laying on his back in that backfield? Because that money's not going to be spent on a line to protect him now.
Well, that's a great point, too, just the offensive line. But we saw them make the playoff run the year that they got to the Super Bowl. I believe, I don't know if there was a record break, but the Titans sacked him
8 times in that game. Yeah,
9 times,
crazy.
And he got up 10. I believe that the Raiders had good success in the first, the wild card round against him. He was on his back a lot in the Super Bowl against the Rams. And they almost beat the Rams. Had Joe Burrow had a little bit more time, he's going to find Jamar Chase on the outside and possibly make a game-winning touchdown pass right there. My biggest thing is last year Joe Burrow was, if not the leader in passing yards, was top 3. All right, he threw more touchdowns than anyone else, I believe. And what was the issue? There were several missed kicks that they should have won games in, but the kicker missed for him, and the defense was bad. Now, the offensive line obviously is a huge priority there because you want to keep Joe Burrow upright, more so than just him being upright and not taking the sacks, is you want to keep a guy who's every other year finding himself out at the end of the season due to injuries. You want to keep him healthy, but you also got to have a good defense. If there's anything that the Chiefs and the Eagles have shown you, and even go back to the 49ers, is having that balance of a really good offense, but also a really good defense, and that starts right there in the trenches, which I believe the Eagles and the Lions really kind of show you that there. And the Lions, what did they lose a lot of? Interior and exterior defensive linemen, and that's really kind of where their season started to change for them. So I as much as you want it, and here's my other question. All right, I'll ask this after I say this. That's my big, as great as it feels as a Bengals fan to get T. Higgins and to get Jamar Chase, is is the defense going to suffer for that? I believe so. My other question is, what happens now with the franchise tag? You used the franchise tag already on T. Higgins, but then you get a deal worked out with him. Do you get your franchise tag to use on someone else now, or is that one just...
I'll be honest, I don't know the rules on that. I would imagine probably not. Just knowing the way the NFL operates in general, if they have a deadline and you tag somebody and then that tag, I would imagine, is spent. But
yeah,
I don't know.
And if it's too late to use a franchise tag, then it's irrelevant at that point. So why even do that? Kind of doesn't make very much sense to me, but it is what it is. Just found that to be interesting. If you're Joe Burrow, obviously you want to keep those. You want to keep those guys, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. They've been very influential, but you also got to worry about the defensive side of the ball. Also, the Texans have signed Derek Stingley Jr. to a record 3-year, $90 million deal. The Panthers, I believe it was J.C. Horn. Was it J.C. Horn who got the $25 million a year deal? So
sounds right.
We just keep on breaking records in the same season. But the Texans, I mean, that's a guy that you had to sign right there. Huge player in the defensive secondary for the Texans. 3 years, $90 million. Guess how much of that is guaranteed, Coach? Of the $90 million.
I don't know.
89 million.
Why not just guarantee it all?
Just guarantee it all.
See, now I'm angry.
What'd you say?
We got to have some suspense. Will he get the last million or not? I need to know. Will he be rich or just richer?
That just...
So what is $89 million guaranteed?
Get off my lawn. That is ridiculous. Just guarantee it.
Is that all $89 million? Is that all due at signing? So he gets like the $89 million guaranteed at signing, or is it $89 million guaranteed over the lifetime of the contract?
Over the lifetime. But I mean, that's just stupid.
It's
really,
one of those things.
$80 million guaranteed. Okay, that makes 89. An idiot.
But doesn't it make it? Speaking for not the Bengals, but for for the player, isn't that better for you because basically they can't renegotiate the contract with you to kick the can down the road? Because I thought in contract negotiations you could only negotiate bonuses being paid out.
Yeah.
So that makes him one, that makes him harder to cut, and two, that makes it harder for the team to renegotiate the contract. So that's good for the player.
Yeah, I mean, you hear guarantee. I mean, look, does Deshaun Watson seem like he's hurting in any outside of physically hurting, obviously for rehabbing from the injuries and all that?
Congratulations to Deshaun Watson for getting engaged, though.
Yeah, how about that, man? I mean, the convincing. He probably had to convince his future fiance more so than
I'm running through the bad thoughts running through my head. What can I and can't I say? And right now, it's a lot of can't.
All right, well,
let's move on.
Hey, but he had to do a lot of convincing for that one, I'm sure, right? Compared to what he had to do to convince the Browns to spend $230 million on him. Shout out to you Browns fans. Get on over there to ESPNPC.com. Click on the Big Bracket Challenge. It'll take you to where you need to go. Let's get us up to 76 by the time that the show is over this afternoon. We're at 66 right now. And in the world of golf, Rory wins the Players at TPC Sawgrass. He joins an elite group of Scotty, Rory, Tiger, and Jack to win TPC multiple times and did it in playoff fashion. What'd you think about Rory's win at Sawgrass?
That's a good win for Rory. I mean, it was an interesting tournament all the way around. I was on with Ryan Thursday when Justin Thomas was 7 over, and then he comes back and shoots a course record by bogeying the 18th, by the way. On Friday, Rory put together, a couple of good rounds early and then obviously saw it out. I always hate Monday, playoffs because you really have to go through an entire full warm-up. And what's their playoff at Sawgrass? 3 holes, I think.
I think it's remember. 3 holes, yeah.
And so that's a little bit tough. Obviously, Spawn hasn't been in that situation that often. But, yeah, winning at Sawgrass is very difficult. That is a mentally challenging course, and it can jump up and bite you out of nowhere. So, yeah, you see the list of names who've won multiple times there is small and pretty darn good. So it's a big win for Rory. And, look, I mean, the win for him is Augusta because that would complete the slam. And it's certainly good momentum to get going into April where he's going to try and do what he should have done in 2011 and get that green jacket there at Augusta. So.
And there you go. We'll see if it works out for him. And And maybe we'll talk a little bit about some of those sweet Live Golf Tour cards that you were showing me in the PCB Hobby Takeover at 520 this afternoon. 850-215-6290. David Neat says, David, you only drafted one Brave. We had our fantasy baseball draft this Friday evening at 7:30, and the only Brave that I drafted was Spencer Strider. He said, what happened to your homer draft strategy? Normally I try not to be a homer, but last year the Braves offense was so daggum explosive, or supposed to be so explosive, that it felt like you could do no wrong. And so, yeah, just changed up the strategy, man. When something doesn't work, as it did not work for me at all last year, you have to change things up. Otherwise, you're just stuck in a bit of insanity doing the same thing, expecting different results while getting the same results. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. When we get back, we'll be joined by the senior writer for theRebelWalk.com, Steve Barnes.
Do you suffer from political talk radio fatigue?
We know that under the 99% rate, the U.S. economy is
Tune into the most fun and exciting new radio show on the Gulf Coast. It's The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. The remainder of the day, there will be a moderate breeze out of the north-northwest, sunshine and 68. Clear skies tonight, a bit colder at 51 and a wind around 6 miles per hour coming out of the north. Tomorrow, sunny and a light breeze right around 5 miles per hour with a high of 70. About the same at 73 Wednesday, and we'll have sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Bestway Portable Buildings recognizes the optimism in the air, and a golden age has begun for all to share. Bestway has been constructing durable, custom-made portable buildings in just about any size since 1989. They know what they're doing. Of course, you're not obligated in any way to buy from Bestway Portable Buildings. However, owner Jason Mulder asks that you please give them a try before you buy. Bestway Portable Buildings, a golden age builder north of the Old Mall on Highway 231 and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com.
Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Get your shine on at Tommy's Express Car Wash. Now with a special offer for new members only. Purchase our best wash, The Works, at Tommy's Express and get your first month of unlimited washing with the Tommy Club free. The Works includes our best Red Hot Cleanser, Tire Shine, and Ceramic Body Wax to protect your paint job and seal and shine. Hurry in today. This is a limited time offer. Tommy's Express, Highway 77 and 23rd Street, next to Starbucks.
We're broadcasting live from the Bendian's Best Move Studios.
But to beat the man, you gotta beat the man.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster.
You're gonna be mine. Woo!
ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's hour number 2 on the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're live and local here from Panama City, 104.3 in this area, 101.9 in the Port St. Joe area. But the same number to call or text us is 850-215-6290. Lynn Haven Rob earlier said this could be a year that a number 1 gets beat by a number 16. That would be the 3rd time. Real quick before we bring our guest on the line with us, what 16 seed do you think is more likely, or what number 1 seed do you think is the most likely to go down in the first round?
Just because of the uncertainty of everything, I would say Duke, even though I think they have the best year. I don't see Florida losing to Norfolk State with the way they've been playing. Auburn's too solid. Houston, maybe. I would say Houston or Duke. I'll just say Duke because of the uncertainty.
I'll say Houston because of the team that they're playing, Southern Illinois University out of Edwardsville. That's the only reason, but I don't think that it's very likely. Is there any 15 seeds that you see possibly? I mean, St. John's too strong, in my opinion. Michigan State too strong. Alabama too strong for Robert Morris. Michigan State's got Bryant and the Bulldogs there. St. John's has Omaha, and then Tennessee has Wofford. I don't see it right there either. But I feel like this is a year where you're going to get a lot of upsets early, and SEC teams, beware. I have to say that again. I know we got 14 teams in, or I know they got 14 teams in, but it doesn't look good when you go off of the past. Now, bringing on to the line with us is Steve Barnes, senior writer for TheRebelWalk.com. Steve, go ahead and start us off with your best and worst of the weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me do this first. Let's do a little trivia because you just talked about the Braves.
Okay.
All right. Hank Aaron, Chipper Jones, two of the most iconic Braves ever. And this is for you. This is for Brian. This is for Big Game James. The numbers are retired 44 and 10. Those weren't their first numbers. What were?
Oh, God. I should know this, and I'm blanking.
I'm going to say 41 for Hank Aaron and 13 for Chipper Jones.
Wow, way off, dude. Way off.
I wasn't around for either one of their first numbers.
Did you?
No, that was David. I can see Chippers, and I'm blanking.
Oh, 17 for Larry.
No, 16 for Chipper, and 5 for Hank.
That's right.
There you go. I got a trivia question for you. How many times in the past 10 tournaments has the champ came from the conference with the most teams in? In the last 10 years, how many times has the champ came from the conference with the most teams in it?
I would say 0.
All right, that answer incorrect, but we're not going to give you the live answer or the real answer here on air because that is our trivia question for today. So I
mean, come on. I don't know anything about basketball. Come on.
Come on. You're in everything, guys. Steve Barnes. All right, let's start with your best and worst here of the weekend in the world of sports.
Well, I hate to be like Michael Scott from the Office.
Yeah.
How about me? I got it right last week. I picked Florida to beat Tennessee.
Yep, you did.
In the SEC tournament, and it happened. And then in the Sun Belt, I picked if Arkansas State could guard Caden Connerly from Troy, they would win the game. In the first 30 minutes, he had 4 points. In the last 10, he had 16.
Tale of two halves.
And Troy won by 13. So, yeah, I got 2 right. That just doesn't happen. I just don't get 2 right. That just doesn't happen.
How do you think that 14 seed Troy does against the number 3 seed Kentucky? We saw, I think it was Kentucky as a 3 seed last year fall into Oakland, so they could be in that same situation this year. How do you feel? What kind of a shot does Troy have against Kentucky in the first round?
I really hate to say it, but I think Troy's going to be back eating that crow's chicken in Troy at 231.
What do you make?
I just don't think they have a shot.
What do you make of the situation with South Alabama getting the invite? We were talking about this earlier on in the show, but they got the invite to the NIT because UC Riverside was going to be going to the CBI, and then last second, the NCAA is like, oh, wait, actually, they accepted the invite. Eggs on our face, I guess, but, sorry about that. What do you make of that situation for Coach Reed?
I just think that these people need to get their
together?
Things together. Let's put it that way. You got to figure it out. You just You just can't say, oh, yeah, well, this and that and this and that. No, you got to get it together.
There you go. Get it together. Strong words of advice on this beautiful St. Patrick's Day from Steve Barnes. Steve,
and you're in green. I really like that about you, man. You're in green.
I normally don't, focus on the holidays, or I forget. As soon as the mic cracks, it's like, I don't even know what's going on today outside of just what's going on with sports. But when you got a green St. Patrick's Day baseball cap, you try to wear it for St. Patrick's Day, and I guess it helps.
I'm not purposely wearing green, but I think this underwear's been on for like 4 or 5 days, so it might have turned green.
It's got some green accent marks to it, huh?
There you go, yeah. So I could be cool with the Irish people.
There you go. I think I'm the only one in the building today wearing green now that I think about it. But, I could just take it off and match with everyone else, and none of us have green on, and I just, the glare off the top of my head blinds all of the viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Did the SEC deserve 14 teams, Steve?
Yes.
Ooh. So you think Texas and Oklahoma most definitely deserved their spot?
Yes.
Why Texas?
Tell me who else did.
West Virginia.
No.
Why no?
They lost too many games to bad teams.
Okay.
So I think the SEC deserved it, and what I think is going to kill the conference is now you can say they're a basketball conference, not a football conference, and I think that's going to kill it. That's going to be something that they just go, no, we're a football conference. Well, look how many people you got, or look how many teams you got in the basketball, but you didn't in football.
That's a really good point there. They got 14 out of the 16 teams in basketball this year, but you could say that they're in everything conference if you wanted to go that direction. College baseball, they're got the top 4 seeds there, 5 out of the top 10. College softball, they're every single year having a ton of seeds going to the college softball tournament. Now you see it in basketball for really this many teams is setting a record. The closest team was 2011 with the Big East having 11 teams there.
I'm just not sure this year that there's going to be that many baseball teams.
When it's all said and done?
It's fratricide.
Yeah.
They're just going to beat each other up. Last week, Ole Miss had the lead 3 times and lost 2 of them. You can't do that.
Yeah. It's going to be hard though, because they did the same thing here in basketball. Like, you look at Texas and Oklahoma, you're 6-12. There hasn't been teams with more than 4 being worse than 400 or 4 games under 500 in your conference. There hasn't been teams like this in the NCAA tournament, and that's kind of one of my biggest things is, you're 6-12. Just how you're saying about college baseball where they're beating each other up, they did the same thing in college basketball, and they were rewarded for it.
Do you want to play Texas or Oklahoma? If you're like Dallas Baptist or, Grand Canyon, do you want to play them?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it would depend on seeing how Grand Canyon. Are we talking basketball or are we talking baseball? Because if you mentioned Dallas Baptist in college baseball is a name to be reckoned with.
Well, the issue you're going to have in baseball is I don't think you're going to have the 2 teams that just did roll over the way you did in basketball this year. LSU and South Carolina rolled over and gave a lot of people. They were just significantly worse than the rest. I think in football, Mississippi State and Kentucky, we didn't expect it, but they were significantly worse than the rest, and then Auburn missed out by 1 game. Otherwise, we'd had 14 bowl teams and 14 NCAA. I don't know that you're going to have that. Traditionally, you don't in baseball. My guess is baseball, they're going to get 11 or 12 locked in. getting to 13 or 14 seems really tough in baseball. But, I'd love to see it.
Brian, I got to ask you, man. I mean, do you really think we can get 14 in the SEC? I'm just not sure about 14.
I don't think so, because just the way it's played out through the years, so many of them, like last year, Florida barely got to go because they finished one game over 500. Now they ended up in the World Series. So are 14 teams worthy? Yes. Will they get in? I just don't think so. I've seen it too many times. I would imagine they get 12. I think 12 is going to be about right. 11 is more likely. 12 is where I think they're going to end up, though.
Well, in 2022, come on, let's face it. Ole Miss, last team in.
Yeah.
Won it all.
That's right.
So you never know. If you get hot at the right time, you win it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. No doubt of that. I mean, any team from the SEC is good enough to play regional baseball. But no, just the way traditionally it's played out and the way that they knock each other around in baseball. It's not to say they don't in other sports, but for some reason it seems more impactful in baseball. I don't think you're going to end up with, like I said, I think 12 is the number this year. And think about that. You got 13 bowl teams, 14 in the NCAA basketball tournament, and you get 12 in the regionals. I mean, good gracious.
And then softball's got to be a high number, too.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm an Ole Miss guy, let's face it, but I think in baseball, right now, what happened the first week of the conference schedule, I'm not sure that I think they will make it to Hoover, but I don't think they make it to Omaha.
Well, the only reason we're going to make it to Hoover this year, my Bulldogs too, because we dropped all three.
Who'd y'all have?
I think we had Texas, but in Starkville.
Yeah.
I think the only reason that Ole Miss and State are going to make it to Hoover this year is because this year they're taking all 16. And they're doing kind of a single elimination deal, which is different.
We got full circle to it.
That's right, which I was saying while David was talking about basketball earlier because I wasn't listening to him like an idiot. But yeah, they're going to make it. But you're right. I mean, Ole Miss and State have got their work cut out for them.
It's still basketball season?
Yeah. But Ole Miss and State have their work cut out for them to make regionals this year, and that's it's amazing to think. These are, two of the last four national champions in baseball, but it's going to be tough. It was already a brutal conference. You had Texas and Oklahoma, and it just gets harder.
Steve, Ole Miss, you just kind of touched on it a little bit. They had a tough series with Arkansas, dropped 2 or 3 to them. How do they bounce back? Who do they have this week? Who's their weekend series against this week?
I believe it's Missouri this week, but still, I mean, you got Hunter Elliott on Friday, so you like your chances on Friday, but the other pitching is just not that great, and so I'm looking for them to drop another 2 out of 3.
Oh,
and yeah, so but I think they do make it to Hoover, but they don't make it probably past the first round. Same thing with the basketball team. I mean, they're in the tournament, number 4 seed. I just really don't think they're going to make it very, very far. So, hey, made it a shot. There you go. You made it a shot.
I've got Ole Miss going to the Sweet 16, actually, taking on Michigan State.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they'll be playing the winner of San Diego State and North Carolina. Then they would take on the winner of Iowa State and Lipscomb. Iowa State's dealing with some injuries. They've kind of fell off a little bit. Ole Miss they took care of business against Arkansas and then gave Auburn a little bit of a run for their money. So I think they'll get to the Sweet 16 and then fall to Michigan State.
I am going to take you to Biloxi, my friend.
Yeah, we were talking about SEC baseball. I just kind of want to go over this just to show everybody how tough this conference is. Ole Miss lost 2 out of 3. That's the 2022 national champions. South Carolina lost 2 out of 3. They've won multiple national championships. Vandy lost 2 out of 3. 2020 national champions.
Who did Vandy play?
Who did Vandy have? think they had Auburn.
Yeah, I think you're right about
Florida lost all 3. They were in the national championship game a couple of years ago.
They had Tennessee this weekend.
Yeah. Mississippi State lost all 3, 2021 national champions. Texas A&M was in the championship game last year and was most everyone's pick to win the national championship this year. Now, they've had some injuries.
Yeah.
But they lost all 3.
Who'd they lose to?
I mean, it's unreal. A&M lost to Alabama. Right.
And Alabama's got Tennessee this weekend, so that's going to be
And LSU swept Missouri, which Missouri's not a very good team. They'll be the basement.
That's why I don't think Ole Miss drops 2 or 3 to Missouri, but then again, they're going to be on the road.
2 or 3, but it is tough up there in Missouri, that's for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Como.
No, and it'll still be a little chilly. I mean, it's the reverse of football.
It's chilly
football,
here in Pensacola.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
Football, you don't want to go up late in the season. Baseball, you don't want to go up there early in the season.
Oh, I walked around the block to the grocery store today.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I thought, why am I wearing shorts? I'm an idiot. It's cold here.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve, I was actually thinking that on my way out to the truck to grab my charger right before the show. It's nice and windy, and that breeze is kind of consistently blowing. Who is your Final Four picks as of now, Steve, to get back to college basketball before we wrap this segment up?
I don't think I've ever said these words in my life, but I think the committee got it right. I like the 4 number 1s. I really do. Out of those 4 number 1s, out of Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston kind of, sticks out to me because they broke my heart on my 19th birthday. On April the 4th, 1983, they lost to NC State.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Valvano game where he's running around, and, the Lorenzo Charles dunk.
Yep.
Yeah. That just broke my heart to death because it's like, it was the day I came back from spring break, and I had 2 midterms the next day, so I couldn't go out. And 2 of my friends showed up at my house and say, yeah, you're going out, you're going out, you're going out. And what they're going to do is, drag me to a strip joint and, make me, get on stage. And the strippers would, yeah, they're going to do that. But I'm watching this basketball game.
Yeah.
And I don't like basketball that much. But they're like, you know what, we'll watch this. And I had Houston. So they broke my heart. So I'm going with Houston this year.
All right, there you go. They'll redeem the broken heart.
I can't remember. I know we've had 3. Have we ever had 4 1s make it to the Final Four?
I believe one time.
One time? Okay.
2008, maybe? Or actually, I think there's been 3 times.
Okay.
Since
we've gone to 64 teams, I guess
believe that's.
Who is your dark horses, guys?
Look, I have one I'm going to say, and they're just as likely to lose in the first round. I just have this weird feeling about Memphis this year. There's something about that team that I like. I think there was a sense of urgency with Penny this year. There have been some people upset with him. But they're in the toughest bracket, which, may help them. It may just be wide open out there. Memphis as a 5 is out there, and I'm going to talk about this more later, but it seems like most years you get 2 1s, a 2, and a 4. And so I was looking at the 4s, and the only 4 I could see going through, mainly because Duke is still uncertain, I could see Arizona getting hot and making a run out of there as a 4 seed. So those would be my 2 dark horses.
If they didn't have to run into Duke, I would say BYU is one that I would really keep an eye on. I've just kind of been following them all year long. Wisconsin's going to be a tough out as well. Michigan, being there as a 5 seed, the problem for them is that they're in the same bracket as Auburn, and then also an 11 seed, Drake. So only one time in the modern era have all 4 number 1 seeds made the Final Four. That was in 2008. Only 3 times in the modern era have we had a Final Four without any number 1 seeds. That was in 2006, 2011, and 2023. Steve, we're going to catch up with you next Monday for what went down in March Madness. Thanks so much for your time, my friend. All right, Steve Barnes, ladies and gentlemen, he's the senior writer for the RebelWalk.com, and he's going with the Cougars. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, we're going to take it over for the PCB Hobby Takeover.
Set your alarm clock to wake up with the Coach Hales Show on ESPN Northwest Florida. In-depth local and college sports from expert insiders and a dash of controversy.
Can be deadly.
Weekday mornings 7 to 9.
Nothing says good morning like a drunken human alarm clock.
We're live from the J. Michael Studio.
We all know he loves the Florida Gators, but that's okay.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
I can control the world.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Monday. Clear tonight with a wind at 6 miles per hour out of the north-northwest and a low of 51. Tomorrow morning, look for a light breeze and sunshine with a temperature near 65. The afternoon and evening, a high around 72 and sunshine. Wednesday, very warm with a high of 74 and sunshine. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Bendian's Best Moves is a local moving company in Panama City, providing reliable services to the families and businesses in our community. Coveted for the long list of services they provide, experts at what they do, and they do it all from start to finish. The pros at Bendian's Best Moves have moved doctors, attorneys, pastors, schools, small businesses, the federal government, and they can move you too. For the best moving experience, it's Bendian's Best Moves. Call now, 850-583-0814.
We're broadcasting live from the Bendian's Best Move Studios.
Hi, this is Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs. Listen for select Orlando Magic games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to my boy David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs.
Back in the doghouse, riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife, and we are your home for the Coach James Hale Show in the morning, weekdays from 7 to 9. They will have their final show of the week tomorrow, and will be off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. No Inside Drive this week. The Afternoon Underdogs will be on from 4 to 5:30 tomorrow and Wednesday, and then we'll have coverage for March Madness first and second rounds. Thursday, Friday for the first round, second rounds on Friday and Saturday. Coverage starting at 11 a.m. right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now it's time for the PCB Hobby Takeover. Todd and Julia, welcome in. How are we doing today?
Happy Monday, everybody.
And happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. That's right. It's St. Patty's Day. Let's go.
Yeah, I need some corned beef and cabbage, that's what James is having for dinner tonight.
Awesome.
Homegrown and homemade.
Nice. What's that? I'm coming
That's what I'm going
to. Oh, great. Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm dragging today. Man.
We got...
I'll tell you what. I know we do.
Baby.
I'm getting ready to go out of town. So on Wednesday, we're leaving to go to Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're super excited. Several of us are going up there, and we're going to go represent PCB Hobby. Going to do a lot of buying, and we're going to do streams Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. So that's going to be fun with all the new stuff we pick up. It's not going to be one of the bigger cons that we talk about where we get all these exclusives and things like that. It's going to be more of a picking con, and what that means is you go around to vendors and find all kinds of deals on stuff that's been out for a while or older stuff, even some newer stuff, but again, nothing exclusive per se. There may be a few little exclusives here and there, but not that. And then we're going to get artist signatures. There's going to be artists there.
Cool.
So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll be back next week with all those wares. But again, we'll be selling a lot of them on the stream, so we're pretty excited about that. So check us out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night for the comic stream, and we'll be rocking and rolling. It'll be pretty cool. As far as what's going on this week, Julia will let us know.
Yep. So for organized play this week on Thursday, we are doing Lorcana and One Piece. And remember that Lorcana, there was a new set that came out just recently, so definitely go in and test that out. On Friday, we have Magic, and Sunday is Pokemon, and we are having a new Pokemon set come out. I think the official release is going to be this coming Monday, but we may have some in stock a little bit earlier. I know the pre-releases came out yesterday, and man, Brian, wasn't it crazy?
It's a line, and it was literally a line on the sidewalk coming in. It was it was busy.
Oh yeah, so it's going to be hot. You're going to want to get that set. We also have a new Magic set coming out. It's called Takir, and it is coming out the 4th of April. That's when we can release it. So that one is a really, really good set from what I've heard. And we also have some pre-orders available on our website for our exclusive comic books. We have Battle Beast, Hush, I think our Spider-Man cover.
It's Batman 158 is the return of Hush, and then Spider-Man 1, which will be coming out. Amazing Spider-Man number 1 is the reboot. So they're redoing the whole series and starting with number 1 again. And then, like she said, Battle Beast is going to be on there. Plus, we're going to have several other new ones coming up that are pretty awesome. You could also get graded versions of most of these, and some of them even signature series versions of these as well, as far as comic books go.
Yep. So a lot of those are available on our website for pre-order. Hopefully those orders will be coming up soon, and those will be released. As always, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at PCB Hobby, and find us on eBay Live at PCB Hobby. We're streaming almost 24/7 for comics, coins, trading cards, and sports cards.
What you got, Brian?
Well, this week it's not huge for releases in terms of numbers. It's kind of calm, which is nice. Zenith Football will be coming out this week, but we in the shop were able to pick up a lot of older wax, and I mean like, you know, way back to 2020 and 2021 and 2022. But it gives a lot more options, which is a lot of fun. And then we do have some much older wax stuff from the 80s and 90s as well. The next week, we do pick up the last 24 baseball product, which was Heritage High Number, which a lot of people have been eagerly awaiting. And we get Topps Inception Football, which is a nice quality product. Again, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, autographs, Bo Nix, all that. And then we get to the first week of April, and it really takes off. Big products. We have Bowman Chrome University basketball, which will be featuring both Cooper Flagg and Juju Watkins in that one. That's going to be huge. We have Finest MLS Soccer, where they're doing debut patches in soccer
they're
now.
going to do the debut.
They're doing that in that. Finest Formula One. The season just started. We have Optic Basketball and Optic Football dropping the first week of April, and Select Baseball. So
wow.
First week of April is going to be massive. But the big story probably for this week, for all you spring breakers listening and all our locals who are out on spring break, is Josh and Ethan just got back from the Dallas Card Show and picked up a lot of new singles. Some they'll be running on their streams, and some we're going to have in the shop. So a lot of new singles inventory as well.
People have been hitting, too. Doesn't somebody just hit something?
Well, yeah, we just literally, as we were starting this segment, got a note from the shop that somebody opened a box of Prism Baseball. There's about a $160 box. Paul Skeens gold vinyl 1-of-1 autograph. The non-autograph version of that card sold in January for $3,000. Wow. So the autograph you would think would be even better. So really cool. A lot of big things being hit at the shop. So you got to come in and check that out. It is It's heating up for
yeah,
sure.
It is, and especially all you
outside and inside.
All the spring breakers that are coming into town, check us out. If you didn't know where we were, we're on Back Beach. We're at 11939 Panama City Beach Parkway, and that's next to Florida Linens on, again, Back Beach. Our phone number is 850-320-3233. No, 8388. Sorry. Ooh, took me a
Are
second.
you the owner?
Yeah.
That's worse than me not listening to what sports you were talking about.
850-320-8388. So give us a call if you guys have any questions, haven't been there, want to see us. We got a ton of stuff. And again, we do 4 categories: coins and currency, sports cards, TCGs, which is Pokemon and Magic, and of course, comic books. Other than that, David, what do you have for me today?
Little buy, sell, trade action here. I got 3 coins for you. I want you to tell us a little bit about the coins and then what you would buy, what you would sell, and what you would trade. I've got the 2007 D, which I would imagine means Denver.
Denver.
All right. George Washington presidential dollar. 1976 Denver bicentennial quarter clad, and the 1943 Lincoln steel cent.
Okay, so the Lincoln steel cent is specifically a higher end version of that, and they actually have graded ones like Mint State 66, Mint State 67. Those higher grade ones you absolutely keep. That's a keeper. It's a good representation of example of a really cool coin that they put out during the war years. And the reason why it's the steel penny is because they used the copper for bullets for World War II.
Gotcha.
So they made a steel sentence instead just that year in 1943. Now, to be fair, so everybody understands, they are not rare. They made a gazillion of them. So you can find them all over the place. Any coin shop will have one, just a regular grade example. But nice examples, definitely keep. As far as sell or get rid of, the George Washington presidential dollar, that's just a normal dollar. It's a normal spendable dollar. There's nothing special about it. The 1976 bicentennial quarters, which will notate 1776 to 1976, our 200th anniversary of the United States. That's just a trade. I wouldn't necessarily hold on to it, but, there's no real high value to that. Now, they did 2 sets that year other than the circulated version. And the circulated version, when I say that, that's the clad one you're talking about. They actually made a proof set of it, and they made an uncirculated silver set of it. Both of those sets are 40% silver, and what they include is actually that quarter, the half dollar, the Kennedy half dollar, and the Eisenhower dollar. So you get all 3 in that pack, and it's sealed by the U.S. government. And so those are really cool sets. And if you have one of those, another good example to have in your collection. So
there you go.
Those are my opinions on those.
Tricentennial, when we get to 2076, do you think that will be a... Do you think that'll be a physical coin, or will it be a crypto coin by the time we
I don't
get
know.
there?
Let's talk about the 250th.
All right.
Because that's 2026.
Oh, so a little bit closer.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about 200.
Yeah, I might make that one.
Yeah, but maybe. So ultimately, I think they will do a 250th anniversary commemorative coin. I would guess they would.
That'd be good.
I can't remember what it's called. Sesquicentenary, I think. Anyways, it's a tough one.
I don't know, Mr. Numismatist.
Mr. Numismatist.
Yeah.
But I think that they'll probably make a 250th anniversary coin. That's a good, quarter of 1,000 years. So, that's pretty good. I mean, 250 years the United States has been around. Not long compared to other countries. However, still very, very cool feat. And I think that they'll probably come up with a pretty cool design for it.
Who do you think would be on it?
I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll put a person on it.
Really?
Oh.
If they did,
It may be too controversial.
if they did, I actually believe they'd put George Washington on it.
Okay.
And I
Makes
believe
sense.
they should if they're going to put a person.
Okay.
Because he was our first president.
Yeah.
And he was, crucial in the Declaration of Independence and all that stuff. So, I think ultimately that would be the smartest play if they're going to put a person on it. Other than that, they'll probably just do some sort of design that has to do with America itself, you know, whether,
Maybe it's
an
like the flag or-
eagle, flag, something like that,
Or they'll just put all the Canadian provinces on there. 51st
Right.
51st state.
How about the Fanatics signing Juju Watkins? What does that do
Fanatics
for the
is
sports
tearing
card?
it up.
Yeah.
Fanatics is tearing it up.
It's a big move for them because WNBA right now is owned by Panini. It is still a little unclear whether or not that license transfers with the NBA license, because the NBA does subsidize the WNBA. Now, I don't believe it does. So
I don't think it does either, because I don't think the WNBA is owned by the NBA.
Right, but Panini has yet to come out and confirm,
of course,
that they've owned it. So it might be something tied up in litigation, but it is going to cause a little bit of upset once Juju Watkins goes to the WNBA, but we'd have a whole nother full year for that because of the WNBA's draft rules. She actually cannot go forward. It's big for Fanatics, though, because they get to feature her in Bowman Chrome University, whereas Paige Beckers is already a Panini exclusive athlete, so she won't be in the product. So it's big to have who's going to be the number one female product, most likely this year, definitely next year, in Bowman Chrome U. So it's a big thing. But Topps is so smart about, and Fanatics, about how they market. Juju Watkins actually has autographs in Top Series 1 baseball.
They were smart.
Because they have a little subset of first pitch autographs.
But you said that they signed her.
That's right.
Right. So, they've
locked her up.
They can put that in any product.
And so they have a first pitch autograph where she threw out the first pitch at a Dodgers game. So huge move for Fanatics to get her, because she's going to be a generational talent for the WNBA. Maybe not quite to the extent of a Caitlin Clark. But she's going to be on that level of coming in. She's that good.
What's the thing that's like Goodwin Champions, but it's Topps? It's
Allen and Ginter.
Allen and Ginter.
Yeah.
They'll put her in Allen and Ginter.
She'll be in that
stuff
as
like
well,
that.
no doubt. No doubt.
because they can. So that's pretty cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they'll have Bowman U Inception and Bowman U Best. I mean, they'll have a lot of products that feature her. And they already have Cooper Flag locked up. So they've got the two top names outside of Paige Beckers, who I think you could argue Juju Watkins might even be a bigger name than Paige right now. So it's a big deal for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point about Juju Watkins and Paige Beckers, where their status lies, Paige Beckers with the last 2 years basically being injured, and Juju Watkins consistently playing through is probably been a factor.
I think so. And Paige is a little more of a known quantity, whereas Juju's really come on with momentum this year. And, a West Coast thing. You don't get as many big names on the West Coast anymore. They're all playing East Coast ball. So the fact that she's out there for USC, following in the footsteps of Cheryl Miller and everything, dominating, it's going to be big for the league when she does come to the WNBA.
But isn't it amazing, though, that we have so many sports products coming out and how hot the stuff still is? I mean, that's great. I almost feel like there was that, that dreadful lull after COVID where it slowed down a little bit, but I feel like it's just in the sports arena, it's just everything just seems to be really popping and really going well.
And you would think, well, who really cares about women's college basketball? But I can tell you this, last Thursday, we actually had a bunch of people in the shop ripping. We had 3 different people actually ripping at the same time. We actually hit a Caitlin Clark auto in there. But there were 2 products in 2022, Bowman Chrome U Inception and Bowman's Best U Inception. Now, they had Victor in them, but they also had Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins in them. Juju was just coming out of high school, and we sold, I think, 7 boxes of Inception and 5 of Bowman's Best U from people chasing Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins. Oh yeah, and Victor was in it. But they were primarily going for the women.
Yeah, and let me tell you why I believe that the sports are so hot is because they've really opened the floodgates on the gambling side of things.
Yeah. Sure.
No doubt. And it's kind of wide open. Now there's still some states you can't do that in, but for the most part, many states you can, and I think it's opened a wide gate for people to be able to get into.
And I think it's put a lot of focus on the players themselves rather than just the teams.
Because you can gamble on anything. Like literally, you can bet on how many points in a game Caitlin Clark's going to do, or Juju's going to do, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
So you're paying attention.
Or the coin toss, right? You can do anything, so people are paying attention to it, right?
Or Western Philippines table tennis, or
whatever you want. Exactly.
Amazing.
It's totally amazing. But anyway, so we got a lot of great stuff going on at the shop. A lot of neat product coming in, and don't forget about coins and currency. We've been buying a lot of stuff over the counter. We have a lot of new inventory.
Ooh, yeah.
So and silver and gold. Believe it or not, I was just checking before I got here.
Did it cross it yet?
It did. It was 3,000. 3,000 even.
I knew it was close. I didn't know if they crossed
crazy.
it.
Was that an increase?
Yeah, so that's an increase. So it crested 3,000, which is amazing. Gold is actually at $3,000 an ounce now. So for all and look, in the past, remember, I've been doing this for a long time, been a coin dealer for a long time, and I have seen so many people over the years buying it at 900, 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, 1,500, 1,800, thinking, man, it's getting high. Now they're really sitting on a treasure chest of stuff.
So if you got a pot of gold from a leprechaun today, then it's a great time to sell.
It's a great time to sell.
Yeah.
Great time to sell.
My goodness. I think I'm going to pivot from this, and we'll ask it next week since baseball starts next week. Officially starts tomorrow, but we'll dive into it. We're going to talk about the MLB prospect trending up and a vet that's trending down. But, speaking of silver and gold, there's cards in the golf world, right? That have some silver.
So it's actually across multiple sports. Panini does a set called Impeccable, and it's a 3-box case, and 1 box per case has either a card with 1 troy ounce of silver, which
that's
$33,
cool.
$34, $35 by itself. I mean, the guy could be a bum.
Right.
And it's still that. Or, and extremely rare, a half troy ounce of gold, which is what, $1,500
It
now.
is $1,500.
So even if you get a bum, you got a $1,500 bum. So I mean, it's amazing and it's cool, and those have become extremely popular cards. The ones we were looking at were for Live Golf, which are going to come out here soon.
Well, what's doing better right now in the card industry, sport and card industry, Live or PGA Tour cards?
Neither.
I was going to say, I bet we don't get a lot.
It's not huge. I would say Live is a little. It's probably trendier because it's newer.
Yeah.
This is the first time they've done Live, and Panini has put them out.
They're good-looking cards.
They
though,
are
I will say
good-looking
that.
cards. Upper Deck has the license for PGA, and they haven't been terribly innovative. Now their patches are really cool because they'll incorporate the glove, the shirts that have the wild designs, things like that. I'm sure they have little pieces of the ball, things like that. I would say right now Live mainly because it's newer, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense.
There you go. Julie, you want to hit us with the rundown one more time, or did you have a question to ask?
Well, I was just going to say that, the coolest card I've ever seen, Brian was showing me the other day when I was in store, it's the Cosmic Chrome cards with the planets in the back. I had never seen those, and they were so cool to see. Talk about a cool card.
And the further away you get from the sun, the rarer they are.
So Pluto is...
Not included. Brian and I had this discussion. He was like, "Man,
Neil deGrasse Tyson can kiss my rear end for getting rid of Pluto."
That's messed.
But I guess it's Neptune at this point.
Yeah.
They changed their minds.
Super cool.
It's just a big star. That's all it is. Just a big star.
Hey, I learned Pluto was a planet. I'm sticking with it.
Me too.
I'm right there with you guys.
Brian and I are the same age just about, so there you go. Pluto it is.
But have a happy Monday without a Pluto in existence.
Pluto in existence, that's right, exactly.
Well, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at PCB Hobby. Tune into our live streams on eBay Live at PCB Hobby. Come check out our store at 11939 Panama City Beach Parkway on Back Beach. We're right next to Florida Linens. Also, we have a very special birthday tomorrow. It's the captain's birthday tomorrow, so I just wanted to go ahead and announce that. Yeah.
Wow. Turn 49 tomorrow, guys.
Let's go.
I'm not 50 yet. I'm not dead yet.
Oh, you baby.
Almost.
Some of us
almost got a foot in the grave.
Just a toe right now.
Don't I know it?
Oh, man. Thank you guys, as always, for dropping in here and giving us a happy Monday. And we look forward to chatting with you guys next Monday and getting you all up to date on what's going on with PCB Hobby for the PCB Hobby Takeover. That was Todd Mueller and George. We're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. When we get back, I've got 7 trends to watch out for March Madness.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Part of it's on Tim Tebow. Now, he was being demonstrative. He didn't want to try to do anything else besides be a quarterback. He could have had a longer NFL career had he wanted to, cooperate with the other teams that had drafted him and that he was on the roster of. And for a kind of guy that's supposed to be as humble as he is, how humble are we being, Tim Tebow, when we're too proud to step down from being a quarterback and maybe do something else to help out our team?
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Monday. Clear tonight with a wind at 6 miles per hour out of the north-northwest and a low of 51. Tomorrow morning, look for a light breeze and sunshine with a temperature near 65. The afternoon and evening, a high around 72 and sunshine. Wednesday, very warm with a high of 74 and sunshine. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Stopro's Self-Storage, offering convenient, clean, and affordable storage for all your needs. Secure your items hassle-free with excellent customer service. Simply go to www.stopros.com now to reserve your unit today or call us at 850-250-4414. That's 850-250-4414. Stopro's Self-Storage at 2726 East 15th Street for local service that can't be beat. Give us a call or rent storage online today at stopros.com.
Beach Pizza, formerly Marcy's Pizza, is back with more hours and more pizza. Beach Pizza has new owners and now open every day, 11 to 11. Pizza by the slice, whole pies, wings, pretzels, garlic knots, and more choice eats in East PCB. I finally tried a slice, and it was a thin crust, totes, cheesy slice of paradise. 8815 B Thomas Drive, online at beachpizzapcb.com. Call ahead, 850-775-4053.
ESPN Northwest Florida is live inside the Bendian's Best Move Studios. ESPN Northwest Florida. He entered a kids' 1 mile fun run and came in 9th. David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs. Weekdays 4 to 6 on ESPN Northwest Florida and the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
It's our final segment of the afternoon. We've got 10 minutes and so much to do. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Go to ESPNPC.com. Click on the Big Bracket Challenge. You'll have to get the ESPN Fantasy app as well to fill out the bracket. And for more fun, you can invite your friends and coworkers to join the madness. We've got cash and prizes for the top 3 finishers in our group. That's brought to you by Panama City Toyota, PCB Hobby, and by Pepsi. And we'll have coverage for the first 4 games tomorrow night starting at 5:30 and Wednesday as well. And then all of the action from the tournament right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. All right, best and worst of the weekend. If you guys want to dive into yours, James, what's your best and worst of the weekend? I know I'm catching you guys off guard here.
Well, my best, worst for the weekend. Get myself here on the camera. Well, let's see. Wrote it down so I could remember what I was going to say. My best of the weekend, Florida just absolutely dominating the SEC tournament. It was kind of fun to watch. I don't watch a lot of basketball, but the SEC tournament, I had a great time watching it. Another best of the weekend for me is the Carolina Hurricanes. 7 wins in a row, even with the whole Mikko Rantanen saga and only trading him after a grand total of 13 games. Man, Carolina ate that one hard. Feel bad for them there, but they're on the winning streak, looking for the playoffs. Worst, Auburn, man. 1-3 heading into the tournament. I don't like that look, man. Even with the number 1 seed, man, you got the first round probably got the second round, but after that, I worry.
Yeah, there you go. Coach Haddad, what do you got? I love your worst, by the way. That always perks my spirits up a little bit.
I actually have a best. My best is the return of Formula One and the fact that it looks like we're going to have a true title race this year with Lando Norris winning the first one, McLaren looking really strong for the first time in decades, and it's not a fait accompli that Max Verstappen's going to win another championship here. So, and a lot of storylines. Lewis Hamilton's at Ferrari now, so F1 being back was good. My worst, my Bulldogs dropping. I know you lost by 1, lost by 2, lost by 3, but dropped 3, got swept at home to Texas, starting the year 0-3. I may have to drive up there with a for sale sign for Coach Lemonis's yard, but not a good start for my Bulldogs.
All right, my best and worst of the weekend. I'm going to go my best is the Florida Gators in the SEC Championship, really and truthfully their whole season, taking down Alabama, taking down Auburn, going 1-1 with Tennessee in the regular season. Then you get into the tournament and you absolutely dominate Missouri, Alabama, and Tennessee to win the SEC title. That's one of my bests. best. I've got two worst, actually. One's a personal, and then one is the North Carolina Tar Heels at the line to win to beat Duke to get into the ACC championship. It's 72-71. They just got to make 2 free throws to take the lead, 1 to tie. They missed the first free throw. On the second free throw, he actually makes it. I was listening to this game on the radio, but there was a lane violation, and due to that, North Carolina loses on a lane violation, and that is just a tough way to go out. They still found their way into the tournament, which a lot of people disagree with. I disagree with. Only one quad one win. Not looking great, but hey, they've got a chance against, they play San Diego State, Texas plays Xavier. So we'll see how it plays out for them, but that's a terrible way to go out. The other one, the personal one, was a $1 10-leg parlay from the college basketball tournaments. I hit 9 of them. The only one I'm waiting on is UAB in North Texas. This is to win like $170 or something. UAB in North Texas to go over 135.5, and they absolutely did not even come close to it. It was like, oh, of course, this is how it's going to play out. But another one of the best is just the conference tournament week, especially on Saturday and Sunday, kind of being able to sit there, or more so Saturday, sit there and watch a lot of the games. Man, a lot of fun and getting me revved up for March Madness here, and about to go bracket crazy over the next 2 days. But only one counts, and that is the one we've been working on this afternoon. From Facebook, we only got 3 comments this afternoon. Got to start ramping those up if you'd like your best and worst to be read.
Well, they know I ramble, and they don't bother sending them. That's my fault.
850-215-6290 for your best and worst of the week. Max Delyden says his best was the conference tournaments were electric, and that they were. I mean, the Big Ten and the SEC, watching both of those at the same time. The Big 12 and the ACC were great as well, but the Big Ten and the SEC, watching those at the same time, especially that first game, they were just back and forth. It was a lot of fun. The worst for Max was IU being left out, and UNC's AD, what's his name?
Bubba
Cunningham. Him being on the selection committee.
Chair,
he said, chairman of the committee. He said he had, no role in that particular decision, but I mean, he had to have someone.
I actually believe him, but it's just a bad look.
Yeah.
It's one of those things why I don't like the active ADs being on there.
Yeah,
but
there's plenty of people they could choose from.
No, I actually believe he didn't get involved in that one, but
if you have any affiliation to any university, there's going to be rumors that you were.
Oh, it's bad on the football one too.
Yeah.
It's just a bad look.
Chef Ross says, best of the weekend, Wisconsin getting a 3 seed. Also best of the weekend, Wisconsin and Michigan tried to fix homelessness in Indianapolis with all the bricks they were throwing up yesterday afternoon. The worst, the Big 12 court design with the Roman numerals all the way across.
That.
Yeah, that was not a great look.
I was getting vertigo watching that.
He says also the Big 10 championship game, as he just mentioned there, with Wisconsin and Michigan. And then UNC getting in to the tournament. Fred Hapner says Gulf Coast not making an at-large bid to the national tournament after the second in hardest conference and second in-state tournament. We talked about that earlier. They lost to Pensacola. Chipola did get an invite for an at-large bid into the tournament, but hey, at least they didn't call them back and say, you know what, we actually gave your bid to someone else like they did South Alabama.
That's the worst of the weekend. We talked about it earlier.
Recap it real quick.
Yeah, just South Alabama. There was UC Riverside. It looked like they were going to get invited to the NIT, but they had already committed to another tournament that's non-sanctioned tournament. And so they invited South Alabama, and then Riverside got out of their commitment. And so the NIT said, yeah, we want you. We'll just call South and say, by the way, after you've told all your student athletes they're going to the NIT tournament after a great year, not so much. It was a terrible way to handle things. And, I'm sure they didn't do it on purpose, but they should be ashamed. You don't make that call, and if you make it, you tell Riverside, sorry, guys, too late. So they handled it poorly, and it's a shame because I love my Jaguars, and I really hate that their season ends like this.
They should have had a play-in. That's what they actually...
Yeah, that'd have been kind of cool.
I mean, that's what they should have done after they figured out their mistake, was to get both teams there. Step one, once you open your mouth to invite somebody, that's done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, but in order for them to fix it or quote unquote fix it, they probably should have had a play.
Their claim as a representative spoke too soon. That's them covering their butts. That's nonsense.
Oh, yeah, that's an absolute lie.
That's a joke.
All right, 850-215-6290. Last chance to get them in. Also go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Big Bracket Challenge.
Who's your Final Four?
My Final Four.
If you had to do it now.
And I've already got it done. I've already got my, I actually did a women's bracket, too, while we started the PCB Hobby Takeover. I went with UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, and Texas. South Carolina beating UCLA
Interesting.
75-64 in the championship. On the men's side of things, my Final Four is, as of now, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to do a lot more studying.
Non-binding.
But this is where I'm standing right now, and it looked very familiar yesterday if you were watching Selection Sunday. Michigan State, Florida winning, Duke, Tennessee, Duke winning, Florida over Duke in the national title game.
I told you I like the 1-1-2-4. So if I had to do that, again, non-binding, and I don't love this, I'm going to take Auburn. I'm going to take Florida. Those are my ones. That's just poison to say. I'm going to take Tennessee as my 2, and I'm going to take Arizona as my 4.
Wow.
So
okay, so 3 SEC teams in the Final Four.
I think
if you get 3 to the Final Four out of 14, that's a better track record than what we've seen from the past. I'll get to the 7 betting trends tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be pretty much all bracket talk with one segment diving into college football, talking on Tuesdays with our college football prognosticator Tyler Bishop. Max Delighten should be in the building with us for a little bit, and we'll have James Fife back with us if he's available, so I can get me some corned beef and cabbage. Thank you guys for riding along with us. Jesus loves you, so do I, and
Aaron go brah.
There it is. We'll see y'all later.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Your exclusive home for March Madness.
And it goes for the win!
We'll bring you every